Hey guys, Xandas here, bringing you a quick video on the pre-Legion update. I'm going to be covering my mage, so in this video I'll be covering the changes that Blizzard has made to both Fire and Frost. I'm not going to be bothering to do Arcane because of the fact that I don't play it that much, and I won't be able to give that good of an opinion on it because I've only played it once or twice throughout this past year of playing a mage. I feel I can give you a good opinion on Frost and Fire. I will be covering the talent tiers. I will also be covering which spells are new, spells in my opinion work well together, and which ones that I will be using personally. Yes, I'll be doing that for both Fire and Frost, both of which I've played fairly extensively. Fire, I've played that a lot since the update came out. I hope you enjoy the video and I hope you find it useful. For those who don't know what has been introduced in the update, classes no longer have buffs. I know paladins do, but mages don't have arcane brilliance. We don't have glyphs anymore. The reason for this is what I imagine is it's easier to balance each class, so it stops people from changing classes regularly. The dual specialization has been removed from the game. When you're in a non-combat area like your garrison or a city, you can just activate it, and the same goes with the talents. You can change it about free of charge, no dust required or anything. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna start in Fire, which is currently the specialization that I may be playing in Legion, and I think it's still the same with Arcane being the best damage dealer. I'm not completely sure, but I think Fire is definitely worse than Frost in terms of DPS, but because of how they've changed spells, you can have a Fire Mage the exact same eye level as somebody else and skill level and still do more damage than Frost. They've made it a lot more balanced, which is really cool actually. So you don't have to follow a specific pattern, you can just choose whatever you want, go into it. As long as you're used to it, that will be it. But some setups do work better than others, and it made me change it today from just basic things from Cinderstorm to Meteor, but I'll go over that later. So in terms of tier 1 talents, I've got my original one on, which is Conflagration. So any time that I do a fireball, it puts an additional dot on my target, so instead of it just being ignite, it's Conflagration as well, which is just extra DPS really, and it's damage that you don't have to really physically put on it. You just do fireball, which is in your rotation, so there's no extra spells to worry about. I initially had Firestarter, so your fireball always crits when the target is above 85% health. So obviously I'm always going to crit with target dummies because you can't really get them below that. So this is without Firestarter. First one was a crit anyway. So it does about 18,000, 16,000, so it's actually, so I can imagine that being really useful in boss fights, but at the beginning of it. But the thing is, because it's only 15%, you have to really get straight into the fight as quick as possible. If you join a minute into a boss fight, it's not really going to be much use. You're just wasting a tier of talents, so that one definitely isn't the one for me personally. And then Pyromaniac, casting Pyroblast or Flame Strike while Hot Streak is active has an 8% chance to instantly reactivate Hot Streak. So if I pop that on quickly, so what I have to do is I have to keep casting any direct fire spell on a target until 2 crit one after another, then I get Hot Streak, and both Pyroblast and Flame Strike are instacast, and they both pretty much have the same cast time. Flame Strike is very long, got very long cast time, similar to Pyroblast. So if I do the fireballs, that was a crit, so I get this. So casting Pyroblast has a chance, an 8% chance for it to reactivate Hot Streak, so I get yet another instacast. So that one will be good, but obviously it's very RNG, but if you do get it to proc, then it can be very, very good for DPS. So tier 2 brings Cold Snap, the same as before. It heals you for like 20% of your total health and reset the cooldown of your ice block. So this is just my normal ice block, so it encases me in a block of ice, blah blah blah, makes me invincible for 10 seconds, but this gives Ice Block 2 charges and heals me for 3% of my health every 3 seconds, which I personally used a lot back when it wasn't a passive, it was a CD before the update. and I use that quite a bit, but I can see that being very good in PvP. This is very PvP orientated tier, this one, whereas the first one is a little bit more just sort of damage output, helping you deal a bit more damage. That brings me on to this one, Cauterize. So basically any damage that will bring you, I think it's pretty much that should kill you. It's similar to the Death Knight ability, where something that would kill you, you get a bubble of some sort, which makes you sort of invincible. So then it's sort of like a final stand. And it's the same with this. So I think in tier 1 you had blazing speed before the update, and they've completely got rid of it. There's no blazing speed anymore. But if you do Cauterize and you have something that brings you down to very low health or should have killed you, this will pop, give you an extra bit of health and burns that health away, and you also get burning speed. So that means you can run away from people and get a second chance, and it's proven very useful in both PvE and PvP situations in my personal experience. I can quickly show you the effect of Cauterize. Attack this guy, take my health down, and then it should pop any minute now. So I'm about to die, and there you go. So you get to run away, and it brings me back up, and it will chop away my health, but I won't die. So it's sort of definitely a second chance. I can't use the spell for another 2 minutes, which is fair enough, otherwise that would be really OP. Shimmer is basically like you get 2 blinks, same distance, just 2 of them, same recharge. So the next tier, the tier 3, Incanter's Flow, it's something that I've pretty much always used. If you don't know what it is, as you do damage, it basically stacks and increases your damage up to 20%. So there you go, I've got 3 stacks, 4 stacks and 5 stacks, so I've got 20% more damage, but you've got to keep up the damage, otherwise you lose it. It's very, very useful, and it's something you don't need to really worry about, whereas these two, it adds another spell to your rotation, which could potentially slow you down. This one, you put a rune down, you stand on it to increase damage. Yeah, very good in a static situation, like PvE situation. Yeah, so that's nothing new there. And then mirror image, everyone knows what mirror image does. So the tier 4 talents, so you've got Blast Wave, which is what I originally used, is basically another AoE ability. I will show you that quickly. So I'm pretty sure it's been in the game before. So of all enemies within 8 yards of the primary target, they have reduced speed. So reduce speed and then reduce speed, which will be very good in escaping from people. And then you also have Flame On. So when you use Fire Blast, which you can cast while doing other spells, so anything from Pyroblast to, you know, Scorch, whatever it may be, and it has a 10-second recharge. But when you do Flame On, you get it back, and then it goes on a 45-second cooldown, which just really increases your damage output, and it can boost your Incanter's Flow generation, so you can get up to 5 stacks of Incanter's Flow even faster with that. So they work pretty well together in my opinion. And then Controlled Burn, which I haven't used yet. When you gain Heating Up, you have a 10% chance to instantly activate Hot Streak. So a bit of an RNG talent, where that 10% chance, if you're lucky, within that 8 seconds of heating up, you have the chance to just gain a Hot Streak. So if I do that, instead of having to spam the target with Fireball until you get 2 critical strikes in a row, you can just keep going. So I've got it now, so I have a 10% chance to be able to get that to instantly go up to Hot Streak to gain a Pyroblast. So the tier 5 talents, so just like normal, this one lets you cast while moving. And for a Fire Mage, it's not the most useful spell ever. I mean, the Fire Mage is the least static specialization out of the 3, and that is because of Scorch, and you'll be using Scorch quite a bit, either because you're getting away from people in fights, or you're trying to build up ignition, so then your Fireball has a more chance to crit, so you can have more chance to be able to get Pyroblast like that. And then Ring of Frost is just an area of effect, which is very useful in PvP, slows people down and freezes them when they stand in there. So he stood there, so he's got frozen. And then the one that I use is Ice Ward. I can't put it on just yet, but it basically gives Frost Nova 2 charges. And then the tier 6 talents with Living Bomb, which is a very cool spell, very powerful currently, where you put it on a target, it's instant cast, and it damages them over time, and then explodes, and then passes it on to people around, and then they explode as well, and then it cuts off. So it has sort of 2 tiers of damage. It has the first tier where it's on one target, damages them over time, and then explodes, and then damages everyone else, including them, in the vicinity, and then each person that gets hit, I think it's limited to 8. All enemies, every single enemy in that radius has Living Bomb on them, which does damage to them over time, and also explodes, damaging everything around that. So it's a little bit OP currently, but they've limited it so it doesn't pass on any further than the second group of people that get Living Bomb on them, to sort of cut the power off and stop it being too OP. And then you've got Unstable Magic, which is passive abilities. If you don't want your rotation to be that sort of complex and there's not a lot of buttons you need to press, definitely Unstable Magic could be one you should be taking a look at, because you just have to spam Fireball, and then it has the potential to basically cause a mini Living Bomb. So if I just spam it, I think it's 20, yeah, so there you go, already exploded, and then it's put damage on him. And then the last talent for that one is Flame Patch. Flame Strike is basically just an explosion that causes, it's an area of effect, but it doesn't have any effect after it's gone, whereas this makes it an AoE patch. The next talent, which is Meteor, is basically a Flame Strike, and it leaves an area of effect anyway, so it's sort of just like they're burning now anyway. So if you put that down as well, I can imagine you can do some serious AoE damage. But in my opinion, it's sort of just like, if you've got Meteor, then it's sort of pointless having Flame Patch. The last tier of the Fire Mage, so Meteor, as I said, which is the Meteor that you cool down, impacts them and then does damage, and then leaves an area of effect. And then Cinderstorm, which is the new ability. You have to aim it, because you can do it any way you want. So it goes over there and it just fires like a bunch of little cinders and fireballs that hits all enemies within that region. So if I aim it properly, it should hit all of them. And then it puts Ignite on them. Because it's a new spell, it's not as fine-tuned as the rest, and the distance on it is a little bit ridiculous. So I pulled other mobs that I didn't mean to pull because of the range. And then Kindling is basically just used to reduce the cooldown on Combustion. So Combustion is a CD that increases your critical strike chance by 100% and gaining a bit more mastery. So if I pop that, each fireball that I do reduces the cooldown by a second. So there you go, I popped it. It's got a nice little animation. So, you know, I'll just be doing my normal rotation, speed up the cooldown on it so you can use it again. And Combustion goes really well with Legendary Ring and Time Warp. Instead of having to do Cinderstorm or Meteor, it's less to think about because it's just a passive ability. Right, so that's it for Fire. I'm going to go ahead and activate Frost. Now I've already set it all up because this is the talent that I played pretty much all the way through WoD. The one thing I didn't like about the Frost Mage is the reliance on the pet, because in PvP it particularly slows you down quite a bit, and I hated that. I was really happy when they came up with this talent in the tier 1 talents for the Frost Mage, Lonely Winter, where it replaces your water elemental with a passive that increases damage of Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Flurry and Frozen Orb by 20%, which I was so happy about. Finally play as a Frost Mage and not have to have a pet slow you down. So yeah, and they've brought a few more spells, and Ray of Frost is a new one, which is a cooldown which I'm not a particular fan of, but it's useful in PvE because it's a channel spell that does quite a bit of damage. So if I just show you, so it increases in damage over the 10 seconds, doing quite a bit of damage actually with crits. But obviously because it is a channeled spell in PvP, you would counter it, you know, interrupt the spell, and that's it. It's pretty much useless. But yeah, it's definitely good in PvE when you don't have to move. It's quite a static spell, which I'm not a huge fan of. Then Bone Chilling, whenever you attempt to chill a target, you gain Bone Chilling, increases all frost damage you deal by 5% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 12 times. So if I just put that on, if I just do this, I'll chill the target and I've gained it. So if I just keep spamming this, keep spamming all these buttons, so I'm at 3%. It's not like a huge increase. Definitely mixing it in with Incanter's Flow is definitely a good idea, but if you lose it, I imagine it could be quite annoying. But you are doing quite a bit more damage actually. But obviously when you lose it, you have to build it back up again, which I imagine can be quite annoying for some people. Right, so tier 2 is the same as for all of them. I've covered that in fire, and then the same thing for tier 3. Now with tier 4 you have Ice Nova, and the unique thing about this is before the update, if you went for Ice Nova, which is basically Frost Nova, but it's a ranged version of it, so I can do it from here, and it does the same thing as Frost Nova and does more damage, but they are two completely different things. But they have taken away the 2 stacks of Ice Nova, so before you could do 2 Ice Novas, but now you get 1 Frost Nova and 1 Ice Nova. Or you could get 2 Frost Novas if you mix it with the Ice Ward in the tier 5 talents. So that's Ice Nova. It's pretty much the exact same thing as before the update. And then this is the similar spell to the fire one. I can't remember what it was called, but you gain 2 charges of the Fire Blast spell, and it works pretty much the same thing. This sort of makes up for not having a pet, and it only has a 30-second cooldown, so it's not the longest cooldown, and you could get Fingers of Frost anyway, so this is just like that extra sort of boost in initial damage, you know, maybe when you first start a boss fight. And then Splitting Ice, your Ice Lance and Icicles now deal 5% increased damage and hit a second target nearby. So this used to be a glyph, so I'm not too sure if it's close enough. Yeah, it's not close enough, but if they were close enough, Ice Lance would hit both these targets, but it would hit the off target, so not the primary target, for 50%, which is what I used actually for a glyph for a while until I changed up. So yeah, the next tier is the exact same as the fire, and then this one is pretty much the same apart from these two. So whereas the fire, you got Fire Bomb, or Living Bomb rather, and then this one you got something else, I can't remember what it was, but this one is almost the same thing, but it lasts longer. When it explodes, it doesn't put Frost Bomb on other targets, it just detonates and then that's it, damages other people, it doesn't continue on. Went over this in fire, so it basically does the same thing. The Frostbolt explodes and deals damage to other targets in the vicinity. And then Arctic Gale increases Blizzard, a better AoE ability. The change to Blizzard is that you now cast it instead of channeling it, and it puts it down like there. And then the final tier is Comet Storm, is the same, so that's just where you cool down Icy Comets, which deals damage, so it's another AoE ability, which I found pretty useful in PvP, and it's very useful in PvE as well, sort of like an all-round spell, not too long of a cooldown. And then Thermal Void, your Ice Lances against frozen target extend your Icy Veins by 2 seconds, so that it's a lot of setup for, in my opinion. So you have to put your Icy Veins on, you know, you shouldn't really be using your Ice Lances when you don't have Fingers of Frost, because they won't be doing much damage. But then Glacial Spike is very good mixed in with Ice Flows, because once you get 5 Icicles, so if I just generate 5 Icicles quickly, there you go, got 3, 4, 5, so I've got it, and it's got a fairly long cast and you can't do it while moving, but if you use it with Ice Lance you can sort of walk away from people and use it at the same time, and it does a butt load of damage, and it's a really cool looking spell too. And also I've just noticed the passive ability, if I generate 1 icicle, if I do Ice Lance, it doesn't spend it, so you can just keep doing this, generate them, and you know, maybe Fingers of Frost procs like it just did, and then I use Ice Lance and it doesn't use that, and then I can still use Glacial Spike to do some big damage. That's a lot of damage, that is. That was the Frost Mage, a very fun class to play. Obviously these specs will get more balanced and more powerful once you get your artifact weapon. And my personal opinion, Fire is probably the one that I'm going to be going for most likely, but I may change my decision and go Frost. But out of these two, I'll definitely play these in Legion. Fire seems to be pretty powerful, it's on the rise, and I reckon with the artifact weapon you could be dealing some decent damage. Whereas Frost is a little bit more static than it used to be. I forgot to mention the flurry ability that it had. You do have the potential to get it procced as an instant, but that is quite a low chance. I think it's like Brain Freeze. Frostbolt has a 10% chance to empower your next flurry to apply Winter's Chill to the victim and be instant cast. So instead of so it's basically the replacement for Frostfire Bolt. Both Fire and Frost are pretty powerful. Frost is still ahead in comparison with Fire, but because of the balancing that Blizzard have done, you can pretty much do the same amount of damage or even more in one spec. So really it's just up to you to fiddle around with the talents, get everything like exactly how you want it to. I'm excited to see where both specs go when Legion launches. I reckon both will be very fun. Maybe Frost may be a little bit more funner, or Fire, I don't know. Nobody really knows currently unless you play in the beta, which I am not. But I'm excited to see where they both go, and I'm excited to see the talent trees for both of the artifact weapons for Fire and Frost. I reckon that will really give a boost, and you can really start like making a very unique build. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think Blizzard has done well or badly with your particular class. I know that people are really enjoying the Warlock, the Affliction and Demonology, and I know people are really enjoying the new Outlaw Rogue. So yeah, let me know what you think about your class in the comments below, and if you want any more information on the mage, just pop a question down below and I will get back to you with either a video or just a reply. So thank you very much for watching. So yeah, leave a like if you're feeling nice, really helps me out because I'm still growing, and yeah, I'd really appreciate it if you could do that. So yeah, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.